some of you are. Anybody show up at my earlier session? Hope you enjoyed that one. So this is my second. We're setting up here, so I'm kind of killing some time instead of having dead air. This is my second MPIC. Is this right? MPICT? Yeah. And I showed up last year, and I had a wonderful time. I learned quite a lot, and so I thought I'd give back to everybody. So that's, hope you're enjoying it.
Okay.
So a little bit about me. I'm adjunct faculty, which means I'm part-time. I have a regular day job, and I'm crazy enough to teach kids in the evening. And I really enjoy teaching kind of younger kids. I can call them kids, right? Because it's kind of interesting the way that they approach things. And I hope, you know, looking at some of your students, I hope I wasn't that stupid when I was their age. I could only wish, you know. So I created a session called Tech Tools for Technology, and it might be something different because, I don't know, I'm a teacher, I don't remember everything. And you always do everything a little different every time you do it. But I've gone to a number of conferences, and I find that the best thing is finding out what other apps people are using, right? That's worth the price of admission. Forget the sessions. So I thought we should have a session on this.
Judge, you're live here.
I'm live here. Okay, thank you very much. So what I've got is kind of a combination, and these are some tools, and feel free to yell out some if you have some favorites. These are some that I've come across over the years.
You're not live.
I'm not live, I'm dead.
Oh, welcome to computers. It's so
I have a sense of humor. I do this to my students too.
Why did this not share?
Because I don't share. So all of these, I think in that session proposal I said the best tools are usually free. And I kind of apologize because some of these start getting into a little bit of bucks, but you know, they're worth it, I think. So hopefully you'll enjoy some of these. Some of them I've used in the past, I'm not using now, and some I cannot live without. I teach constantly. So we're okay. Okay, again, my name is Douglas Spindler. Welcome, everybody. So anybody, this is from Mark Rusinovich. There's a program that's called ZoomIt. Mark's company was purchased by Microsoft a few years, about 8 years ago, and the guy is a gillionaire. Mark Rusinovich is kind of one of the brilliant guys out there. And he does a lot of presentations, and he's got a product that's called ZoomIt. I cannot teach without it, and I've gone to some MPIC conferences and other conferences, high-tech, where you can't read what's on the screen. This is a magnifier as well as a drawing tool. So what I'd like to do is show you how this works, and sorry for the people on who are remote, but download the tool and just give it a shot and use it, is all I can say. So I've got these already loaded on my machine. And that came through, right?
Well, this is not being shared with you.
No, I understand. That's why I'm saying people who are remote, just download the software and give it a shot on your machine. So what this allows me to do is, let's say I'm in a, where's something? It's kind of a new machine for me. Yeah, well, I'm looking for Excel. Where's Excel? Yeah, you can yell out, my students do to me too. Up, down, up, thank you. Okay, so here we go, right? You type in a bunch of stuff up here, and of course you're a great instructor, so you do something like that, and you say, can you read that in the back of the room? That's the URL you want to type in. So I've already downloaded ZoomIt, and I've run it. It's an executable. It's very small. So I press Control-1. Let's try this again. Okay. So what I do is I download it. It's on my desktop. I run it. Maybe I didn't run it on here. And it brings up this little menu, and it just says Control-1, Control-2, Control-3, Control-4. So let's go back to Excel. Did I close it? No. So I'm looking in the headlights here. Did I close the Excel? Oh. Yeah, I can't share that with you. Come on. It's got all the pictures and stuff and all the girls' numbers. Okay, so Microsoft, okay, so here we go. Okay, here we go again, right? So we type in all this kind of little stuff up here, and of course we make it too small, so you can't read it in the back of the room. If I do a Control-1, I can zoom in and go around on the screen. Isn't that slick? So I don't know if anybody teaches Cisco or you do in command line. Is this perfect or what? But wait, there's more. I can zoom in by using the mouse scroll. So by using the wheel, I can go in and out and get lost in the screen. On a Windows 7 machine or Server 2008, I have what's called Live Zoom. So when I do a Control-1 here and I zoom in, I cannot type. So this is just a magnifying glass over the screen. Windows 7, Server 2008, and Server 2008 R2, there's called Live Zoom. So here I can live zoom in, if I hope I do this right. If I'm in the right square, I can type in there. Okay, that does not work on XP. That's a feature in 2008. Any questions on that? Pretty slick, right? I was at Timor, if you know him, his VMware, and I was sitting halfway in the back, and I can't read this stuff. And I said, use ZoomIt. So by the end of the 5-day session that I had with him, he was pretty good with ZoomIt.
What's the difference between the other feature and the bottom right on the screen?
So escape, okay, so to get out of this, I hit Control-4 to go back.
If you go to the bottom right, there is a feature.
You can't move it easily.
Oh yeah, like the screen magnifier. Yeah, or it gives you only a portion of the screen. But wait, there's more. Oh, don't look at the activate windows now. Okay, so if I do a Control-1, I'm in here, and sometimes I want to highlight something, right? So I can draw on the screen and say, whatever I want. You know, I can draw my name. I can change colors. So give me a color like yellow. So I hit Y. I've got yellow. I've got green. I've got blue. So you can mark things. You can highlight things. You can also, and I forgot the keys because I don't do this often, but you can draw boxes that are perfect. My students don't care. But you know, you can circle things, do things like that. You hit escape, and it's all gone.
Did you save it?
No. Why would you want to save it? No.
So it can be archived. So you can do a screen.
I don't know if you can do a screen capture while you're in ZoomIt.
You should be. What about a snippet
So we'll get there. We'll get there. Oh yeah, you could give that a try. Okay, so let me. Oh, okay. So Control-3 gives you a countdown timer. So if you're giving your students an exam, you can say, okay, you got 10 minutes, or if they're on break, something like that. Hit escape, come back. You can say what time you want it to come back. If I just hit Control-2, I've got my drawing tools. And I think, I can't remember, but you hold down some key like S for square, and you can do rectangles and things like that. So I encourage you to use ZoomIt. It's pretty easy, a couple keys, and you're an expert at it. Any questions on that? So free download, just go into Microsoft, or go into Google or Banoogle, if you Bing or Google, and just type in ZoomIt and you'll find it very easily. Okay, so we switch back.
Yeah. Okay.
Next tool. Oh, so, okay. So as I said, I can't teach without it. So we went through all the Control-1, 2, 3, 4, and you're an expert at it. Next program that I find, this one I thought was a little bit less money, like about half the cost. It's called SlideintoWord. So if you create your own PowerPoint slide deck, but you want to get it into Word because you want to have the comments or the notes section along with the slide, this allows you to dump your entire slide deck into Word. Pretty slick. $40. This is a programmer who kind of did this on the side. He's a Microsoft MVP, if you know what that is, and he, I guess, wrote this in his spare time. So what you do is you just take your deck and you dump it in, and it's pretty quick. I left the URL down here. Some of these I want to spend some time on demoing. Others I want to share with you, and I want you to share with me too. The same person wrote a program that's called Image Import Wizard for PowerPoint. What this allows you to do is you can specify a directory, and if you use PowerPoint without this tool, what PowerPoint will do, and only Microsoft would think this way, right? So if you have a directory, what you would want to do is have one picture per slide, right? What does Microsoft do? They take all 50 pictures and dump it on one slide. I don't get it, but I don't live in Redmond either. So what Image Import Wizard does is you specify a directory, you can put captions, there's some little details, but what it does is it allows you to put one picture per slide that's in a directory, and so poof, they're all imported, and all of a sudden you have a slide deck of 50 slides, like if you went around. Where we've used this at school is for a school play, where you're going around, you take picture, or they're doing scene construction or something along those lines. And so, poof, all of a sudden you have a slide deck and you can start sharing that with anybody. Any questions on that? No, sorry, this one's $40 too. If you contact, I can't remember his name, and I wouldn't be able to pronounce it anyway. If you tell him that you know Doug, send him an email. He might cut you a deal. Tell him you're a community college instructor and Doug was demoing tools for you. He might give it to you for free. He's a nice guy. He's a very nice guy. And if you want enhancements, if it doesn't do something, shoot him an email, and maybe you said, hey, I don't do it anymore. But oh, sure, sorry. Okay.
There you go.
I know I got a big head. My kids keep telling me that. Okay, image portlet. Anybody use Jing? You like it? Yeah, so how many people not know what Jing is? This is great. This is free, but there's a paid version also. It's from TechSmith. And what it allows you to do is do a screen capture and then post it online. So where I've done this is I've been, not necessarily for students, but you could relate this, where you need to do something and show students how to move the mouse or the mouse interaction with the screen. So instead of saying click on the start menu, go to all programs, get Active Directory users and computers, you can do this on screen and you can narrate as you're doing it. So it's a real fast screen capture. I've used this in tech support where when I work with companies and I need to teach somebody how to do something or show them how to do it, they're at the other side of the country. I can just do it on my machine, post it online, and poof, the guy can see it. The person can see it. So Jing from TechSmith, free product. Yeah, 5-minute time limit unless you buy the real version, right?
And yeah, and the free version is for Flash and
Flash and yeah.
The one for pay is MP4.
Yeah. You're right. Who cares about Mac? You do.
Yeah, there's a Mac.
Yeah, I think there is.
Yeah, I'll talk my sumo bot buddy there. I lost. I'll get even with you. Okay. You can also do annotation to it, so you can write on your screen captures. I've used this professionally where we had an issue where you would click on something like in say email and Outlook program, and the Outlook would like freeze up. You can't really show that, right? So when the screen or like when a database search is going on, you can watch the bar move across the bottom. But then if an error message pops up and goes away, you can't do that if you're doing static shots. But you can do that when you have a screen capture utility like this. Now, if you want to go all out and you got some big bucks, you can use Camtasia. Camtasia is screen recording and video editing software that has everything in there. And I've played around with this. I personally have not used it, but I imagine faculty and people who are part of full-time faculty use this quite a bit. Anybody else? You've used it, yeah. So I can tell you, TechSmith has some outstanding products. The last one I'm going to save towards the end, which is SnagIT. And I encourage everybody to use SnagIT.
If I'm not mistaken, Green took for a period of Friday. I'm not sure if they have video now.
No, I think it's 200.
Yeah.
I mean it's a paycheck for a community college instructor.
How does it compare to Avid or Final Cut Pro in video editing?
Oh, it's different. It's much simpler.
Yeah, so TechSmith is really designed, TechSmith is designed for instructional videos, whereas Final Cut is more YouTube stuff. Is that a fair assessment? Yeah.
Is it 200 if you buy it through Campus Slides? I think you...
Well,
Slides.org, I think it's under.
Yeah.
Oh, is it really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, okay, let me continue. Anybody try Microsoft's OneNote?
Yes.
You love it?
I love it.
So I can't live without it anymore. And Microsoft, what?
I'm sure that for her and a lot of specialists, I'm sure.
Yeah, okay. So let me show you kind of what this does. Sorry for people at home, but download OneNote and start using it. So I can tell you my life is really in OneNote, and this is a fairly new computer for me. Actually, it's brand new. So I don't have a lot of things on here yet. Oh, I haven't even done my icons. So what you do is you have to look at what versions of Office come with OneNote. And I know, was it Premium Professional Plus? No, I'm making that up. But if so, they're like professional
version comes with OneNote.
Oh.
So, you know, if they're getting Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and OneNote,
Okay.
for the regular, so when it comes to the super version, it has OneNote on there. My kids have it.
Yeah, okay. So it's the N, wherever that is. There's a nice tutorial here. Don't waste your time reading it. It's from Microsoft. What do you expect? So what OneNote is when I went to college, back in the old days when we used paper and pencil, you had notebooks. So I had one notebook for every single class that I had. So this is the equivalent to the notebook. Then these are tabs that are inside the notebook. And then you have pages going down the side over here. Make sense? What Microsoft has done, if you're an MCT, a lot of their training material is now gone to OneNote. So you got to become a OneNote expert, or at least become proficient in OneNote. So what it allows you to do is I can go to a different section of the notebook. I can type in blah, 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 something in here, and then I kind of have free form to type whatever I want out here. What's kind of nice is I've got the ability to do capturing. So I can bold, I have a lot of Word type editing features where I can change fonts and things like that. I don't do any of that. Headings, sometimes the most I'll do is bold or change a color. There's a to-do list and you can flag, you can do some stuff with email. I don't do any of that stuff, or calendaring. But what I do, or what I do use it for, is if I've got a classroom and I've got a series of routers and I want to know what the configuration is, or I have a base configuration, I can just cut and paste what that is in here. And so what I'll do is I'll have over here, for example, I'll put in router 1, right? And then I've got the configuration here. I'll do new page. I'll put in here router 2. Right, and then I can have router 3, router 4. And so if I have something that's a unique configuration, or if I've got passwords that are different or user IDs that are different, I can store all that information here. I don't do this, but you can draw, you can draw on the, thing, and it's kind of like PowerPoint-ish, but I don't do that. I can share these. I've tried this and it was not really that successful, but I can share my OneNote page with all my students in the class. And so we can all type and we have a shared space. Didn't go so well for me. Question?
Can you password protect it for security? I don't think you can, but I haven't tried it.
Yeah.
But the one thing I like about it, what I told, I also teach the high school level.
Yeah.
I teach this to my high school students, is that when they're having to do research papers,
Oh.
they can type a thing on the web, and then they copy and paste it, and it gives them the URL where they found it. So when they're doing their bibliography or the work site page, they've got that URL. They've got the date and timestamp. And kids, when you're trying to write it down, they don't get that. And
Yeah.
I also share this with my college students also.
Yeah, so I think it's valuable. So if you go out and you do a Google, I've got stuff that I've snapshotted off of the web from 5 years ago that the pages are gone. And so if somebody says, well, I want the source material, well, I've got the source page. And it's as an image, so I could not have modified it. Or it would have been too much hassle to modify it. So it's a real version. So with OneNote, there's some limitations with this. This one is set up to work with Microsoft SkyDrive. So what's nice about that is I can have a computer at home, I can have a computer that's in my lab, and a computer in my office, and OneNote is synced between all of them. So if I type in something, obviously I have to turn the computers on, they have to sync with each other. But what's nice is I can create something at home that may be part of a lesson, and then I can go into work, and my home computer will have saved it or synced it up to SkyDrive. And then when I walk in the classroom, I turn on that computer, it's syncing with SkyDrive, so it pulls it down, and the work that I did that afternoon is ready for me that evening. So that's something fairly new. Yeah. Yes?
How do you compare it with Dropbox? Is Dropbox?
I'll get to that first. Okay. But excellent question. Any questions on OneNote? Or any features you think I may miss since you know it or teach it?
I don't think so.
No. I'll tell you, my students, I make them load or download the eval, whatever 60-day eval, because this is one of the tools that I think that they should learn. The IT professionals I work with were kind of like me. When we first came out and saw OneNote, we kind of stared at it for 6 months going, what the heck would you do with that? And all of a sudden the light bulb went on and bing, you're right, copying things.
Well,
Yes.
the class we teach at our high school level called Visual Communication Tools, this is a required portion of our
Is
class.
it?
And all our students, whether they're in 8th grade at middle school or in the high school class, they have to learn how to use OneNote.
Yeah. Any other question?
I use it for the way of emails. There's an extra.
Oh, is there? It's like Word. You only use 5% of the tool, right? And the rest, you forget about it and you do it some other way. There is a free version, sort of, that's called Evernote. And I've looked at Evernote, and a lot of people say, you don't need to pay for OneNote. Evernote is the same. I can tell you it's not. It's not even close. It's similar, but there's so much more feature-wise. I don't know if I brought this, but if I have a scanner, I can put something on a scanner and scan it into OneNote. I can record audio. I can record video. It's got date and time stamp. I can link, and here's the picture. So I can go out here and grab my desktop, and poof, it's in OneNote. And there's nothing to save. As soon as it's in the OneNote document, it's saved in OneNote. Okay. So there's no file save, right? The file structure, I haven't looked at it, but they're ONE files, .one, and each page is an ONE file, or is it? Yeah, it's each page is an ONE file. And then, and then you can have sub-pages, or you can insert pages in the notebook. I can tell you, if you haven't played around with it, it's worth it. And it's coming with a lot of versions of Office right now. So my next thing I wanted to talk about is Windows 7 Snipping Tool. Did I spell that right? Anybody use the Snipping Tool?
I do.
Yeah? Yeah, I do too. So the nice thing about it is it's free in Windows 7. The disadvantage of the Snipping Tool is it's not in server, it's not in XP, right? So you got to do something else. But Snipping Tool, let's go through if you haven't seen that. I don't think it'll work. I think it's Windows 7 only. The comment was copy it over. Yeah,
It's a Vista and in 7.
Yeah, but I think if you took the executable and tried to run it on XP, it wouldn't run. I think there's some code-based difference, and it wouldn't work out. Okay, so do we see it?
Now you have to search for it.
Search. Great. Snipping Tool. So it's pretty straightforward. You have new, you click new. The screen kind of changes color. You say, I want this region here, and poof. And now you have to do something with it. So you have to paste it into PowerPoint, paste it into Word, or into an email. You can do some editing to it, so you can draw on it, do whatever you want. But it's not really feature-rich. I could save it to a file.
Like grab it in that.
Yeah, it's similar to Grab It. I'm sure everybody's aware of screen capture where you can do an entire screen, but for a lot of the stuff that we do, that's no fun.
Is it interactive? After you copy it, is it interactive? You can click on those icons and
No, it's like a fax.
Just an image.
It's an image, yeah.
Different version, right?
No.
Similar, yeah.
It's not even. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to spend time, I'll spend time on SnagIT. So two other products, these are both from Microsoft, so I'm Microsoft-centric. My son just recently defected to Mac over Christmas, so I got another Windows 7 box, laptop from him. And he said, boy, I'm glad I got to the Mac. I said, yeah, okay.
Think of it as a bicultural family.
Yeah. We're integrated. So there's another product that not a lot of people know about. It's called Groove. Anybody use Groove from Microsoft? Yeah, you're my friend.
Well, there's, I'm from Indiana, and we have a tech camp, and one of our instructors showed us that, and she said with her husband in West Virginia.
I
can't use it at the school level, but I love it.
Why can't you use it?
They love it.
Okay, so somebody brought up Dropbox. Dropbox, there's some limitations unless you start paying some money, right? I don't know, what is it? Some dollar amount per month for so many megabytes worth of data. Yeah, there's a free version, and I know Sam, who teaches at Community College San Francisco, uses the free version to distribute images to his files to students on his machine, or the classroom machines. But I tried it, and it's what it is, free. On the other hand, I've been using Microsoft Groove, which is part of Office Ultimate, and I think Office Business. I don't think it's part of the student, no. And it's almost worth it to pay for it, but what it allows you to do is similar to SkyDrive. I can create a folder on my desktop, and it looks like a regular folder, but that folder will sync with other computers that I want to sync with. So again, if I have a desktop, I've got a laptop, I've got a classroom or instructor's machine. If I've got a PowerPoint presentation that I worked on at home, I can just drop that into my Groove folder. It automatically will sync up to the cloud securely. So if you have confidential information in there, it's fully encrypted. It's temporarily parked up in the cloud. When I power on, and let me elaborate, It's temporarily parked in the cloud for up to 60 days. So if we've got a break over Christmas, I don't go in to my instructor's machine. I've got 60 days to download it from the cloud, and then it mysteriously appears in my folder on my instructor's machine. I can tell you this saved me one time where I made some where I synced, and the file came down on my machine, on my instructor's machine, and inadvertently I erased it and emptied the trash. Luckily, I called my wife and I said, turn on my machine at home, but before it connects, take that PowerPoint slide deck out of this directory, put it on the desktop. And what happened is the two machines synced up, so it was deleted. Then I said, just copy the PowerPoint slide deck back in. Poof, as soon as it copied there, poof, it popped up on my instructor's machine. So it's kind of, I use that as a backup. It's kind of a lame way of doing it, but it really works out well. There's no file size limitation with Groove. And I have been a Groove user on and off for many, many years, and it's worked flawlessly for me. So there's no limitations on what type of files you can put in or what type of, or size limitations, nothing along those lines. The other product or service that Microsoft has come up with is called LiveMesh. LiveMesh is the same as Groove, except you have a virtual desktop. With Groove, I don't have a cloud, so I cannot get documents out of the cloud. LiveMesh more or less does the same as Groove. There's some limitations. It's a free service, at least right now, from Microsoft. But if I go to a public or an internet cafe machine, I could download that document, or I could download some files or upload documents up there.
Secure?
LiveMesh is secure. Groove is also secure, and I would say Groove is securer, if I can use that word. More secure. We talk about that encryption, right? Oh, never mind. Sorry, question?
So how is Groove different from SkyDrive if it says syncing?
So SkyDrive, oh, I know where I was going with this. So SkyDrive, there's some file size and limitations. I think you can have 50 gigs, 25 gigs, but no one file can be larger than 5 megs. Or some stupid limitation like that. So SkyDrive is like, out for me. What? Oh, okay. Ignore that. I can't. I'm an instructor. Any little thing I got to pay attention to. Groove. So the difference between Groove, SkyDrive, and LiveMesh. So Groove is a commercial product. SkyDrive and LiveMesh are freebies. Groove is for machine to machine to machine. I cannot get documents out of the cloud. With LiveMesh, I can store documents in the cloud and then pull them down to a remote machine. With Groove, one feature of that is if I want to securely share a file with somebody, I can do that who's not part of my Active Directory domain. It's a peer-to-peer sharing, and I can have one folder for one individual, or I can have one folder for one class. I can have one folder for another class. So in other words, if I teach an AM class and a PM class, I can have an AM folder and a PM folder, and anything I put in the AM folder will be shared with all my students when they turn their machines on. Okay? Question? Yeah.
The IT people at the college have to install something on the classroom computers for that to happen?
For Groove, yeah, it's part of the Office Business Professional Plus, whatever it is. You know, the upper end one's for business. I think of it as Office Ultimate, but that's not the right name for it.
But how does the student's computer connect to your particular folder?
So they'll, it's been so long. They create a, what's Passport now called? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, they need to create a Windows Live account because that's what goes up to the into the cloud. And then what you do is you create a folder, and then you share that folder with your students. Okay, LiveMesh, one other thing that does is it gives you a remote desktop. So, but I've never used it, and from the people I've heard that have used it, it's kind of weak or lame. But it's also a free product. Okay, we talked about Snipping Tool. So SnagIT, which one? Okay, so SnagIT is one of those tools I cannot live without. I showed you the Snipping Tool. Oh, I went dead, sorry. Okay. So SnagIT is one tool that I've used every time I create PowerPoint slide decks. I use that, and to show you how crazy and nuts I am, my kids call me psycho, or psycho. Never mind. Bad joke. I'll try that one again. Now, to show you how crazy I am, I went to Costco because I use dual monitors when I'm doing PowerPoints, and Costco had 42-inch HD TVs on sale for $4.29, so I bought 2 of them. And so I've got 2 42-inch, right? It sounds crazy, but if you're doing stuff where you're designing PowerPoint slides, yeah, you need the real estate. And I'm almost tempted to buy 3 monitors. Because one, I've got my PowerPoint, another one, I've got PowerPoint in the middle that's kind of my, no, let me rephrase it. Let me start over. On the left-hand side, I've got my palette of PowerPoint, like slides that I'm going to reuse over and over and over again. And I might have arrows and things so that they're all common. The one that's directly in front of me is the working slide deck that I'm building and that I'm working on. And then off to the right is either the application or the web page. And so what I'll do is I use SnagIT, and I'll go over there and I'll take a chunk of the web page or the application. And one thing that's nice about SnagIT that I'll show you is as soon as you've snagged it, it dumps it directly into PowerPoint. So you don't have to copy and paste. So another way that I use Image Import Wizard is if a lot of times I'll show students how to do builds. And it'll be, people teach Active Directory or server install, right? Something like where you're installing software and you put in the disk and you click here and you click there and you click here, right, as you go through over time. You could do that as a video, but the problem is in the classroom when you do it as a video, you kind of got to rewind. But if you do it as a PowerPoint slide deck, I can go quickly forward and backward throughout the deck, and we can quickly go through the installation process. So usually what I found what works for me and my students is that, for example, server install, if we're doing DC promo, to do an Active Directory install, what I'll do is I'll have that entire slide deck and I can go fast or slowly through it. So I'm not doing a live demo, but it's every single screenshot along the way. If a student isn't there, I can give them the PowerPoint slide deck, and they should be able to follow step by step by step because it's all my mouse clicks. I use Image Import Wizard to capture all those 100 slides or 100 images that I captured, right, that are PNGs. All I have to do is use Image Import Wizard and boom, I've got my PowerPoint slide deck built. Beautiful, right? It's like click, 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 boom, and it's done. The latest version of SnagIT, though, allows me to go directly into either Word, email, or PowerPoint directly. So for example, if I were to have a PowerPoint slide deck open, PowerPoint, right? This is where you want the second monitor. So with SnagIT, what I can do is I can either capture a full screen, which is like print screen. I can, let's see, I can save as a PDF. I can copy text. I can do freehand so I can get an area. But usually what I do is just with the defaults, which is called all-in-one. So I go here and I can specify a certain area. I've got a little magnifier up there so I can get right in, like right on the edge, and I can go through and capture that. Now over here, I'm now into my little editor. So I can come in here and put arrows in, I can put text box in. You can't do this with the Snipping Tool. You can do it with a snipping tool if you want to be inefficient. The way you do it is, or at least the way I do it, is I would take the screen capture, then dump it into PowerPoint, and then I've got my palette of arrows and text boxes and things like that. And then I've got to save that entire image because now they're layered. So then you got to snip it again. Pay the $40, get SnagIT. Don't be silly. So this is my palette or my editor. So if I come back here, you can see this is my current screen capture, and I've got a palette, so I can go back here in time, and if there's something that I want to reuse again, I can come back here and just double-click on it, and poof, here it is. So I've got this image now. I've got PowerPoint open. I can do some fun things here, like send directly to PowerPoint. And notice in the corner it says screen capture successfully sent to PowerPoint. So if I minimize this, go and look in PowerPoint, poof, there's the slide that I put in. I didn't have to do a copy-paste. Okay, if I go here, I'm going to add a new slide. I have to be on the slide that I want the image to be imported into. So this is where the double, triple monitor works out. SnagIT is now in the lower corner of the task tray, but I'm not revealing it. So if I do another screen capture, I can come down here, right? It then goes to the editor. I can say go into PowerPoint. Okay. Okay. Successful. So I come back here, poof, here it is. And actually it's got two of them. And the reason I did this is to show you if you don't go forward in a page, then they overlap each other. Okay? So that's kind of a drawback. But there's a solution for it. If I go in, wait, I'm in PowerPoint. Okay. If I go into SnagIT, I can go into my capture, and the way SnagIT is set up right now is I go from screen capture, I draw what I want, it then goes into the editor, and then I can either go into PowerPoint or I can save it as a file. I could also just say bypass the editor and save directly to a file. So when I'm doing an install of an application and I want these screenshots, I can go real fast, just boom, 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 right? I can go in and I've got my box that says, welcome, you're installing Microsoft software, do you agree to the EULA? And I can click, do the screen capture, and then that's saved to a file. Then I click next, then I do screen capture in SnagIT, at the next screen and say save. And so all of a sudden I'll have this directory of several, 50, 100 files. Okay, thanks. So the way you do that is you come, and you can do a timer setting, but if you come in here, you click on output, you go down to properties. So this is in SnagIT. I can then specify that it'll automatically name the file for me and increment by 1. So every time I do a SnagIT, it automatically saves the file, and then the next one is incremented by 1. And all of a sudden, I'll start usually at 11 because I don't want to do the 0, 1. So I'll start at 11, so I've got 11, 12, 13, 14, and I've got maybe 60 slides in there, image import wizard, poof, and I've got my slide deck. And it's very quick, very efficient to do this.
The animation would be done in PowerPoint.
The animation is in PowerPoint, yeah. Yeah.
I use this SnagIT to get a lot of pictures and create thumbnails and put them in a web page automatically.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You know, it looks like in a table, you even do the HTML for you and everything.
So ZoomIt program I can't live without. SnagIT I can't live without either. So let me turn this over to you. Anybody got any tools to share with me? Oh, come on. What?
Jing, I use all the time to answer students' questions about something.
Yeah, yeah.
I create a 30-second video on YouTube and attach it to their email and send it that way.
Yeah. We got a question?
A person online says Log Me In app on the iPhone is really good to access the computers.
Yeah, iPhone bigots. Everybody knows that Android's the way to go.
I used to, there's a place I'm a web call physician.
Yeah.
And I use it all the time when I have my students, when they find something, a link that they want to share with everybody, they can go there.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah. So I got one other that I'll share. Anybody use WordPress? Yeah, okay. So you use Blackboard. I'm adjunct faculty. For me to get involved in Blackboard or whatever community colleges use is a big hassle for me. So I went out and I downloaded WordPress, and I've got 4 years of classes now, and all the PowerPoints and all the questions that students have asked up in WordPress. And so every semester I create new WordPress categories, and it just perpetually goes forward. And it's kind of nice because things that were news items maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I can search in my WordPress blog, go back, pull them up, and then replay them for students today. I think we're done. Hope this was helpful. Thank you. It is.